I'm Veronica Dudo. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly. A new ground offensive underway in Gaza City as Palestinians flee by the thousands. We have the latest. The suspect in the shooting of Charlie Kirk appears in court today. What prosecutors have to say about their case. President Trump heads to the UK at a politically tense time. We speak to an expert about security measures. Plus, the British royal family marks its first Catholic funeral in centuries. The message that Pope Leo has for King Charles. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us on the feast of Saints Cornelius and Cyprian. Our top story tonight. President Donald Trump sends a stern message to Hamas as Israel launches a deadly ground offensive in Gaza. The conflict in the Middle East ramps up tonight. This as America's top diplomat just spent time in the region trying to reassure U.S. allies. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
Well, good evening, Veronica. When he left the White House today on his way to England, I was able to ask President Trump a couple of questions, including about the war in Gaza.
Israel's ground offensive is now underway in Gaza City. Your reaction, sir?
Well, we're going to see what happens because I hear Hamas is trying to use the old human shield deal, and if they do that, they're going to be in big trouble. They're going to be in big trouble. They put it out 2 days ago that they're going to use the hostages as human shields. That's something that hasn't done for a long time, you know?
Israel releasing a video showing its chief of staff visiting troops as they launch their ground invasion of Gaza City, where the Israeli military believes there are 2,000 to 3,000 Hamas militants left. Israel pledging to take control of the entire city, which experts say is experiencing famine. Plumes of smoke seen rising over the Gaza Strip. Rescue workers search for victims under the rubble, while thousands of Palestinians have been forced to flee. Secretary of State Marco Rubio wants to keep the Middle East conflict from escalating. He flew to Qatar today to meet with the emir. Qatar says the two talked about the push for a ceasefire in Gaza, defense cooperation, and the consequences of the Israeli attack against Hamas in Doha. Also, a United Nations commission blames Israel for genocide in Gaza.
This is no minor matter. The extremity of what is happening is such that we could come to no other reasonable inference than genocidal purpose.
Israel says it categorically rejects this distorted and false report. And President Trump will discuss critical issues with the British Prime Minister this week after a state visit.
Your trip to the UK today, what do you hope to achieve?
Well, my relationship is very good with the UK, and Charles, as you know, who's now king, is my friend. And it's the first time this has ever happened where somebody was honored twice, so it's a great honor.
While in the UK, President Trump also told me this morning he plans to talk about trade and possibly refining the trade deal a little bit, he says, to help them. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
Joining us now to talk more about the ground offensive in Gaza, Middle East analyst and former negotiator Aaron David Miller. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So far, the military has not offered a timeline for Israel's offensive in Gaza City, but the Israeli media suggested that it could take months. Of course, we know the IDF says that they want to eliminate Hamas. What do you think this new offensive goal might be?
I mean, I'm not sure the Israelis have a clear understanding, given the fact that most of their objectives with respect to eliminating Hamas as a military organization have long ago been accomplished. Hamas is in no position. Its organized military structure is in no position to threaten Israel, either with its high trajectory weapons or cross-border incursions and terror attacks. I think largely this has more to do with Mr. Netanyahu's politics and the reality that the mutual objectives of Hamas and the current Israeli government are mutually exclusive. Hamas will not release the hostages unless the Israelis basically end the war in Gaza and withdraw from their forces. And the Israelis are looking for a sort of total victory, which is not just eliminating Hamas as a military organization, but eliminating its influence in Gaza, so it has no influence to either intimidate or co-opt whatever day after the Israelis have in mind. So I think that's the reason that we're having this conversation. That and the fact that the external actors, the Europeans, the UN, the United States, the Arab states, almost on 2 years now, have failed to impose any sort of serious cost or consequences on either party in an effort to alter their war aims.
Where do things go from now?
I mean, they go very badly. Badly for the hostages, the 20 that are still alive, and the remainder of the 48 who are not alive. It'll go badly for Palestinian civilians, several 100,000 which have been pushed south into zones in which there is no consistent or reliable access to potable water, to sanitation, and proper medical care. It's going to go badly for the Israeli Defense Forces, since Hamas probably is a capable insurgency through the use of IEDs and ambushes, and their tunnel structure will kill Israeli forces. And it's clearly going to go badly for any hope in the future of creating a more rational, enlightened, prosperous, and secure day after in Gaza. We face an acute absence of leadership in Israel, among Palestinians, and certainly in Washington.
Aaron David Miller, thank you so much for your insights in this story.
And thank you for having me.
FBI Director Kash Patel was in the hot seat today on Capitol Hill for the first time since his confirmation in January. Members of the Senate Judiciary Committee grilled him on the FBI's handling of the assassination of political activist Charlie Kirk and the Bureau under Patel's watch, its decision to withhold materials in the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein.
Can you commit to make public the Epstein files that so far have not been released?
The Epstein case file is not classified, to my understanding. So we are providing what we legally can, and we are going to give Congress what we are legally permitted to do so to the maximum extent of the law.
Director Patel added the release of classified files is up to the courts.
If anyone in this room can get the multiple district court judges to lift their court protective orders in the ceilings, we will happily provide you with more information.
Democrat Cory Booker claimed Patel was following orders from President Trump to fire FBI employees.
That you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency.
I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed, and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I were confirmed.
And I'm assuming that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
3 senior agents fired recently are suing the FBI director, saying he bowed to White House pressure. And Republican Senator Josh Hawley questioned Patel about the agency's attempts under the Biden administration to use informants to infiltrate Catholic churches and monitor radical traditional Catholics.
We will not use sources at this FBI to investigate and cull information just for the sake of culling information in houses of worship.
Has anybody been fired for this?
There have been terminations related to this and resignations.
Good. There need to be, because if this is going to be standard at the FBI, nobody can trust the FBI.
He added the FBI is investigating dozens of possible hate crimes against Catholic churches. Republican Senator Eric Schmidt used his time to chastise Democrats for causing political violence in the wake of the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
It is the offspring of a dark and clandestine system funded in part with our own tax dollars, winning with a large network of foundations, NGOs, activist organizations, and front groups. This system lurks behind every radical leftist movement in our nation today.
A group of House Republicans sent a letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson asking him to set up a special committee to investigate what they term radical left assaults on America. Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, made his first court appearance today. Earlier, the Utah County Attorney outlined the long list of charges, adding that he plans to seek the death penalty.
The murder of Charlie Kirk is an American tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union.
The 22-year-old is facing aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice, among other charges. Prosecutors say Robinson's DNA was found on the trigger of the gun used to kill Kirk. The Attorney General of Florida says state residents are free to openly carry guns. This follows a recent court ruling that struck down the state's nearly 40-year-old ban. The news comes after James Uthmeyer issued a memo to law enforcement and local prosecutors. The decision does not change restrictions on firearms in sensitive locations like government meetings and schools. Democrats say the decision is tone-deaf given the state of violence in the country. President Trump's administration is escalating its counter-narcotics campaign. The White House just designated more than a dozen countries, including Afghanistan, Bolivia, Colombia, and Venezuela, as having failed demonstrably in upholding international drug control agreements over the past year. The announcement comes as the U.S. military carried out its second strike in recent weeks on what officials describe as a Venezuelan drug vessel. Joining us now to discuss further is David Luna, the Executive Director of the International Coalition Against Illicit Economies. Welcome, David.
Good to be with you, Veronica.
The U.S. military recently carried out those strikes alleging Venezuela drug vessels. From your perspective, how does this shift toward more direct military action reshape the fight against narcotics, terrorism, and transnational organized crime?
Well, it builds on previous and current law enforcement efforts with more kinetic, more robust actions, if you will. Earlier this year, President Trump, through various executive orders, designated some of the cartels and transnational criminal organizations as terrorist organizations. This entails, I think, a wider use of tools to combat these threats, including not only expanding more prosecutions capabilities through counterterrorism authorities, but also to follow the money to freeze assets using broader forfeiture authorities, imposing sanctions, and employing intelligence and military assets, as we have seen recently, both in Canada and in international waters outside of Venezuela.
So this is a big issue, and you've often spoken about the dark side of globalization. Can you explain how these illicit networks sustain themselves through drugs, human trafficking, and money laundering?
Well, I mean, it's these other illicit criminal activities that really helps to finance not only their diversification into other illicit markets, but it helps to finance their criminal campaigns, their operations, their infrastructures, their logistics. And it's not only the drugs that they profit from. More and more of these cartels and criminal organizations are really resorting to gravitating to easier illicit trades like human trafficking, counterfeiting, environmental nature crimes, including more and more related to the illegal gold trafficking, which is occurring more and more in South America, not only in Venezuela, but you have other countries like Peru and Brazil, where even the Mexican cartels are trafficking in more mercury to be able to profit more from the illegal gold trade in the Americas.
Looking forward, what specific strategies or multilateral frameworks do you believe are essential if the U.S. and its allies are to weaken cartel power and counter the rise of narco states in the Americas?
It requires what President Trump and the U.S. are doing right now. It requires more coordinated international cooperation, leveraging not only U.S. capabilities and capacities, but working with our partners like Mexico, like Colombia, like the European Union, to be able to disrupt and dismantle these cartels and criminal organizations through their own authorities and through their own intelligence and capabilities. In fact, I do think that the sharing of intelligence across borders, across governments, and with the private sector becomes even more important today.
David Luna, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Veronica.
Turning now to Tanzania, where a tragic car crash claimed the lives of 4 Carmelite sisters of Santa Marinella and their driver. It happened as they were heading to the airport after a celebration for the profession of perpetual vows of 3 of their fellow sisters. After the late driver collided with a truck, only 1 sister survived and remains in serious condition in the hospital. Funeral arrangements are pending. At his residence in Castel Gandolfo today, Pope Leo XIV hosted the Patriarch of the Armenian Church. Karkin II spoke to the Holy Father about issues affecting Armenian Christians. Recently, Armenia and Azerbaijan reached a peace deal after 4 decades of fighting. In 2023, 100,000 Armenians were forced to flee as the 2 countries fought over the Karabakh region. The meeting between the 2 church leaders was cordial, and Pope Leo was invited to visit Armenia. The Armenian Church is one of the Orthodox churches and is not in communion with Rome. We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly, including a royal welcome. As President Trump travels to the UK, we get behind-the-scenes details from a royal security expert. And Catholic social media, a new platform, is sharing church teaching online from Rome. As we mentioned earlier, President Trump is headed to England for meetings with King Charles III and Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Ahead of the visit, UK security officials say they have planned for every eventuality. Officials in Windsor are preparing for the president's 2nd state visit with tightened security. Thames Valley Police are leading preparations. They are using drone teams, officers on horseback, marine patrols, and undercover units. The high-profile trip comes just days after the assassination of conservative advocate Charlie Kirk, a longtime supporter of President Trump. For more on the security on President Trump's visit to England, let's bring in former head of Royal Protection and a former divisional commander in the Metropolitan Police, Di Davis. Great to be with you.
Well, good afternoon to you. Nice to talk to you.
So first, let's start with some somber news out of the U.S. regarding the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There's a lot of heightened security. Will that impact President Trump's visit in the U.K.?
No, professionally, I don't think it will. Clearly, any lessons that can and should be learned from that assassination, from that murder, will clearly be taken on board by those actually doing the full range of protection at Windsor and indeed at the Prime Minister's official residence, where he's going the day after tomorrow. I would hope by now that everything is in place, and clearly Windsor Castle is ideal for a safety security structure. Although it's 1,000 years old, it is still a very secure premises because our King and Queen actually live there most weekends. So it is one, you can keep people out, a bit like they did 1,000 years ago. So yes, it's a very safe venue as far as it's humanly possible to make it.
Now, of course, no royal family here, but people are very excited to tune in and to watch and to see the president there. Could you discuss some of the efforts to protect President Trump and what is going on, especially behind the scenes?
Well, if you imagine an onion, it has layers. And the same applies to protecting your president. And again, to a lesser extent, in terms of how we do it, you're very different to how you do it in the United States because the 2 countries are very different. Although sadly, we are moving towards a more violent society than previously, certainly when I was doing the job 25 years ago now. So yes, in respect of securing him and making sure he is safe, everything possible will be done in terms of the uniform side that you will see. As you're probably aware, only 10% of our officers carry guns. All of my officers in royalty protection certainly did in my day, and that's right, given the threat that we've had over centuries, really, from attacks from a variety of different sources. And I was one of the ones who insisted that my officers were armed, and not everybody agreed with that, despite the threat we were then under, the IRA and other terrorist groups. However, beneath the service, you will also see a huge range of things. There'll be no-fly zones. There'll be additional support in terms of probably our special services, our SAS and others will be on standby close by, and they will deal not only with major threats to your president and our king, but also those accompanying.
Di Davis, we'll have to leave it there. You are one of the world's foremost experts in security and investigations. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Up next on EWTN News Nightly, saying goodbye, a Catholic funeral for the Duchess of Kent, who was there, who wasn't, and the Pope's message. Plus, Catholic tradition meets digital innovation, how Rome's Angelicum is reaching the world. For the first time in centuries, a Catholic funeral was held for a member of the British royal family. Catherine, the Duchess of Kent, passed away on the 4th of September. In 1994, she converted to Catholicism, becoming one of the few royal family members ever to do so. Her funeral today was held at Westminster Cathedral in London. Duchess Catherine was 92 years old. Pope Leo sent his condolences to King Charles, saying in part, entrusting her noble soul to the mercy of Heavenly Father, I readily associate myself with all those offering thanksgiving to Almighty God for the Duchess's legacy of Christian goodness. To all who mourn her loss, in the sure hope of the resurrection, I willingly impart my apostolic blessing as a pledge of consolation and peace in the risen Lord. A new digital program from Pope Leo XIV's alma mater in Rome is bringing centuries of Catholic tradition to the modern times. EWTN Vatican journalist Benedict Cedrigan has more.
As the world continues to be torn by hatred, war, and violence, a Catholic university in the heart of Rome offers a ray of light that shines far beyond its classrooms and seeks to reorient us all to the fellowship inherent in mankind. Through its new digital platform, Angelicum Media, the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas has launched its first project, Fraternitas, an introduction to Catholic social thought, a video series that explores the foundation of Catholic social ethics.
We hope that
the name itself, Fraternitas, meaning fraternity or brotherhood in English, reflects the series' focus on how family is the foundation for building a just and humane society.
family has an absolutely ineradicable importance in the way that the church thinks about questions of social importance in our world. And so to think of ourselves as fundamentally brothers and sisters, so not fundamentally individuals, not fundamentally citizens of a sort of abstract state, but as first and foremost part of a family, that is the core fundamental unit from which everything else builds.
Questions like what truth, rights, freedom, property, and justice mean are addressed in the series, showing how Catholic social doctrine integrates the individual and the community in a way that values both and diminishes neither. The series aims to give viewers a clearer grasp of the natural and theological principles that guide moral and civic life and show how they speak to today's biggest challenges, from economics and politics to global conflict.
This is not some kind of optional appendage. I mean, social life is, we're all living it all the time, and the question is, how do we live it?
The project seeks to engage a broader public, since Catholic social doctrine addresses the life of every person and community.
From the beginning, Christians were trying to think, what does it mean to live as a Christian in social life in the Roman Empire, for example. So these principles go way back. But of course, the applications change over time. I mean, we're talking about at least 2,000 years of thought on this topic, and new problems are always arising. So the continuity is with the principles, which don't change. But we do have to think in every era with every new problem about how do we take these principles and apply them to a problem that we haven't encountered yet.
The theme is close to Pope Leo XIV's heart. Shortly after his election, he explained that he chose his name in honor of Leo XIII, who worked to show how the Church can guide people living in society in areas such as human dignity, justice, and the common good. Building on their legacy, the Angelicum aims to give the faithful the resources to live out these principles today.
What we hope to do is give a series of videos that systematically and comprehensively give the wholeness, the fullness of Catholic social doctrine. And so if the present Holy Father's pontificate is going to make that important, then, I don't think it's too much to say that this series can give people a foundation for thinking through what the Holy Father really wants to do with his papacy.
In Rome, Benedict Cedergren for EWTN News Nightly.
Today, the church celebrates the saints and martyrs Cornelius and Cyprian. Both lived in the Roman Empire in the 3rd century. Pope Cornelius served in Rome while Cyprian was the bishop of Carthage. The two fought against the heresy of Novatian that claimed Catholics who lapsed or fell from the faith during the time of persecution could not rejoin the church. Cornelius and Cyprian disagreed and said they could return after proper penance. Both saints are celebrated for standing strong in the time of persecution and leading the church by word and example, even to the death as martyrs. Saint Cornelius and Cyprian, pray for us. We thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Veronica Dudo. Good night and God bless.